how do you finish around a tub surround? What options are there? And are they any good? These were all questions I had, and I needed to know. After looking at all the options available, I realized something. That most tub surround finishes aren't great. Let me explain further. I realized the finish around most new tub surrounds are destined to fail. I can't understand why anyone would spend several days mudding and taping around their tub surround like this. Or worse yet, just quickly slap on some MDF trim around it, hoping it will hold up to water. It doesn't.
Not so hot.
Tiling seems to be your best option, but it can be both expensive and time consuming to install it. Then it dawned on me while working on a countertop for the same project. Why not just use plastic laminate? It's waterproof, durable, easy on the wallet, can be easily made and installed in a few hours, and looks good too. So where to start? Finding the laminate. You could go buy a 4x8 sheet of laminate, or, secret time, you could probably call up a cabinet shop or countertop fabricator and get some leftover scraps from them for cheap. That's where I got mine. Next step. To make this install easy, I ended up gluing it on some 3/8 inch plywood with contact cement, like this. In my case, I needed to make 2 vertical pieces at 6 inch by 8 feet, cut down later, and enough pieces to go around the top of my tub that was around, 5 inches to the ceiling. I'm using a spray-on contact cement, however, you can use a roll-on version. It works the same, but just be sure to put the contact cement on both your plywood and plastic laminate, and let it dry completely before sticking things together. Also use plywood as your substrate, not MDF in this application, to prevent any substantial swelling.
Not so hot. MDF and water.
In order to place your laminate in the proper position before gluing it down, I just base it off the plywood with some clean stick like this. If possible, start with 1 piece of plywood and laminate that's more than wide enough to do all your pieces, so that once it's glued together, you can just run it through the saw and rip things down the side. And my last little tip before moving on, since your plywood and laminate is oversized, leave 1 straight plywood edge exposed to give you a nice edge to run along your table saw fence. FYI, when your contact cement is dry, it grabs immediately. The sticks keep both food surfaces from touching, allowing me to move things into place before pressing things together. Just be sure to cut your first piece oversized and flip it around after and cut it to the proper width. And that's it. In less than an hour, you're ready to install. And here's my situation. Making the parts was quick, and if all goes according to plan, finishing around this tub will also be quick. Much quicker and easier than tiling around this, or worse, mudding and taping up to the tub surround. I was under a huge time crunch to get this done, and I needed my time at this job site to work on other things. So, what's our first step? Well, it's best to start at the back and work our way out. So, first measure and cut your top piece to go above the 5-foot wall of the tub. So if you find your piece isn't fitting like mine, it's super easy to cut down. Ceilings are never flat, so I just scribe my board at the top, cut it to fit, and push it up tight so that I can caulk the bottom after. Just be sure that when you're cutting this material, that your blade is cutting and pulling down toward the laminate and not away, which will cause chipping. That's why I'm cutting this upside down on the track saw. My shorter top boards were going to be butting into my vertical boards, but in order to figure out exactly how long they needed to be, I first needed to mark out where my vertical boards were sitting exactly. Check my inside edge first, in case it's on an angle, and then I'll cut it down to the right length here. And if you're really good, you can take your cut off and get the grain matched all the way. Cool. Test our fit out before we get everything all glued in place. And the reason why I test things is because I had to cut this at a bit of an angle. It wasn't meeting too nice, but now I got her sitting pretty good. Of course, we're gonna take our shower head off, get that out of the way. Take that off. Put that back on later. And of course, we're just gonna take some silicone, put some big gobs in there, and just glue this puppy in place. Trick is not to get silicone all over the place and on your hand when you do this. And what we'll do, we'll just put some shims in there. I want it tighter to the ceiling because I caulk what you can't see at the top here. Just take some shims. Alright, next one, getting some gobs, fairly big gobs. Finish the edge on this so you don't see this nice beautiful plywood. Got this black Schluter kind of matching your trim package stuff. And what I should have did was cut out this base, kind of set things loosely in place. Mark it with a pencil. Put that up. A little line. Know where to put our Schluter up to. Put the line there so we know not to get too far out with our caulking because I'm using silicone that's not paintable and I don't want to get it on the walls. Stick this Schluter in first and go over with some silicone after. I used the little brad nails in there. Now I got some seam fill I can go over those holes with. It will both seal it and make it pretty inconspicuous, but don't go crazy with the nails. The color of this laminate makes it hard to tell. Getting there. And we'll drill our hole. Nice thing is we don't need any special tools to drill it. It's just a hole saw, no diamond bit or tile saw cutter that we have set up. Just on the fit, make sure everything's working. Corner fits nice. We're just gonna trim it to the right length here and we're good to go. Did that right. And we're gonna put a nail in there just to keep it together. So we're gonna caulk the top where it meets the tub. What I suggest is going along and taping along here and along there. You can put your silicone in there. Nothing looks more tacky than getting silicone all over here. It just doesn't look clean. Ultimately, it's gonna save us time because we're not gonna be spending time cleaning off a bunch of silicone on here. And it's gonna look sloppy and piss poor. Do this, adds 10 minutes, saves you an hour. And because we spent the time taping, we don't have to worry about being too nice with our silicone because we can wipe that. Get it on the tape and not on there. I like using a translucent versus a white or a clear. Here you just see the gap. White sometimes doesn't always blend with your material. Translucent's a good happy medium. Nice to have a piece of cardboard to keep things on, because otherwise that drips and gets on your finished stuff, and nobody's happy with that. Nice clean line, no silicone everywhere. Could go along and drill it there if you want. The silicone doesn't look half bad with this stuff, so again, we're just gonna tape it, both sides here, caulk it, and then she's waterproofed and done. All in, this took me a little over 3 hours. A little over an hour to make parts, and a little over 2 hours to fully install this. Compare this to other methods like mudding and taping up to the tub or tiling. This is so much faster. Also, much more waterproof than MDF Trim or drywalling up to the tub, leaving me time to tackle some pesky floor squeak, which is a topic for my next video. But until then, you can check out some other tricks like how to install tricky drawer fronts in this video right here.